live from the Fatu Network studios. I am Jaka CCJT. Welcome to the news review. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. As NEA gears up for International Beach Cleanup Day, Car Power Ship donates nearly $100,000 to the agency for the successful observance of the day. Also, the debate over President Adama Barrow's desire to cling onto power until 2021 is intensifying as December draws near. More on that, but first let's take a look at the newspapers. First, on the Standard newspaper, the headlines read, another resignation at OIC Gambia. Girl scores 9 A's at Brikama presentation. Human Rights Commission probe Usman Dabo's death. Works Minister explains delay in road projects. Police open investigation into alleged Mankamakunda murder case. Another resignation at OIC Gambia. There has been another resignation at the Gambia Secretariat of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC Gambia. The body tasked to coordinate the hosting of the OIC summit in 2021. A reliable source told the Standard that the latest resignation is the head of local organizing committee, Wan Alhaji Jallo. Also, girls scores 9 A's at Brikama presentation. Nene Bajo, also called Abba, has scored A1 in all 9 subjects offered in this year's Gabasi examination. The student, who comes from Brikama Biriwuling, is a product of presentation of Mary Basic Cycle School in Brikama. The principal, Joseph Gomez, said the school has been producing aggregate 6 over the past several years, but Nene Bajo's result is unprecedented and has set a record in the school. Also, Human Rights Commission probed Usman Dabo's death. The National Human Rights Commission has officially opened investigations into the death of a market vendor, Usman Dabo, who was allegedly killed by officers of the anti-unit crime under the Gambia Police Force. His death sparked wild demonstrations by youths who alleged he was tortured shortly before his release from police custody. The police detained Dabo, 33, a black market vendor who was also a Sierra Leonean, over investigation of suspected stolen items. He died shortly after his release. Work Minister explains delay in road projects. The Minister of Works, Transport and Infrastructure, Lamin Job, has said financial constraints are hindering government's strategic phase in the speedy development of the transport priorities across the country. Job was addressing members of parliament yesterday as the assembly commenced sittings for the 3rd ordinary session for the 2019 legislative year. The parliamentarians tasked the minister to explain plans of his ministry for the construction and rehabilitation of roads and feeder roads across several parts of the country. The minister responded that the government has plans to upgrade the poor road networks and infrastructure affecting many parts of the country, especially the rural areas, to support the economic and social perspectives of the people. Also, police opens investigations into alleged Mankamakunda murder case. The spokesperson of the Gambia Police Force, ASP Lamin Jai, has confirmed that the police have opened investigations into an alleged murder in Mankamakunda. We can confirm investigations are in progress in the case of Kumba Balde, who was allegedly assaulted by her husband Jibu Jise of Mankamakunda, he told the Standard newspaper. He said the case was reported last month when initial police actions were carried out. That was all for the Standard newspaper. We move on to the Point newspaper, and the headlines read, Defense Minister, we must respect democracy and rule of law. Gambia, Qatar signed 4 new bilateral agreements. Janneh Commission report to be released on Friday. Sheikh Omar Faye, the newly appointed Minister of Defense, has underscored the significance of democracy while emphasizing the need for Gambians to respect democracy and rule of law and not to abuse them. I have come to compliment President Adama Barrow's development goals, but not to compete or to undermine his policies and development aspirations. he said during an interview with journalists in Banjul. He added, "We are not saying people should not demonstrate. However, we must do it professionally and with respect. I have respect for everybody. I am the Minister of Defense for all Gambians, irrespective of political affiliations." The Gambia, Qatar signed 4 new bilateral agreements. State House, Banjul, 11 September 2019. His Excellency President Adama Barrow and the Emir of the State of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmed Al Thani, presided over the signing of 4 new memorandum of understanding and bilateral agreements between the governments of the Gambia and Qatar. The agreements entitled Mutual Cooperation in the sectors of communication, judiciary, customs, and youth and sports. On behalf of the Gambia, the various ministers of information and communication, justice, and foreign affairs signed the agreements with their respective Qatar counterparts. That was it all for the Also on the Point newspaper, the Janneh Commission report to be released on Friday. Banjul, the Gambia government will formally release the much-awaited Janneh Commission on the financial activities of former President Yahya Jammeh at a news conference on Friday, 13th September 2019 at 11 a.m. The Gambia government will also release its white paper, a 93-page dossier based on the findings and recommendations of the 1,600-page Janneh Commission report. The ceremony, to be chaired by the Gambia government spokesperson Ibrahima Sankare, will be at the Attorney General's Chamber Conference in Banjul. That was it all for the newspapers. We move on to our stories. The national discourse on the December planned rallies of resistance to President Adama Barrow's determination to stay in office till 2021 is intensifying as we inch towards year's end. Recently, a debate over the 2016 coalition manifesto was held at the University of the Gambia, and the thrust of the discussion was President Barrow's intention to abandon his campaign promises of returning the country after serving 3 years in office. Momodu Justice Dabo went along with the story.
The debate over the planned December rallies of resistance to President Adama Barrow's ambition to rule beyond the 3 years mandate that he campaigned on in 2016 is gaining momentum as the year-end draws near. From politicians to diplomats, civil society members to students, the national discourse on President Adama Barrow's determination to see it through to 2021, when presidential elections will be held, is dividing opinions. Recently, at the country's citadel of learning, a compelling, mind-engaging and riveting debate over the 2016 Coalition Manifesto was organized, and the thrust of the exchanges was the Operation 3 Years Jotna campaign. Madi Jobate, a civil rights activist, also a social and political commentator, and Nyanjai, an economist, lately argued on some of the legal, logical, economic, social, and political underlays of the Operation 3 Years Jotna campaign to ensure President Adama Barrow abandoned his desire to stay in office for 5 years. Organized by the Debate Association of the University of the Gambia, the forum has served as an extremely vital platform for dissecting the intricacies of the proposed December resistance. For Nyanjai, the proposed December rallies of revolt will bring about dire economic consequences.
I think this is a pertinent and burning issue that we Gambians collectively need to find a resolution. I always say oftentimes that when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers, and the grass are the masses of Gambians. Today, this 3-year, 5-year issue is creating political uncertainty. Political uncertainty breeds economic downturns because there's no visibility. Today, come November, if this issue is not put to rest, many tour operators will not book tourists to come to Gambia. Therefore, the Gambian economy will suffer because most likely most Western capitals will issue travel advisories for their citizens to avoid Gambia. So there is a bigger picture that we Gambians need to look at.
But to Madi Jobate, the planned December protests are of overwhelming significance to the country's political history in that it will further pave the way forward for Gambians to hold their political leaders to account and to nurture political decency.
We have to hold the president to account on the basis of his promises, not on the basis of the Constitution. I see a lot of mixture. People are confused about these 3 years, the Constitution. The 3 years, this promise has nothing to do with the Constitution, because it does not violate the Constitution in any way. He is at liberty to easily resign at the end of 3 years. And I want us to hold him to account because, as I said at the beginning, public office is public property, and it is ours. Whoever seeks our mandate, based on set of promises, we must not allow that person to now obtain our mandate only to overturn his own promises. When we allow that, we are now encouraging leadership that is not accountable. We are promoting political indecency, political lies, and where politicians can lie, can promise and fail, not even politicians, even between friends, the tendency for abuse to become a culture in that society is high.
But to Nyanjai, upholding political decency may be a tall order, as the world we are now living in is not an ideal one. He also insists that the December protests has the potential of creating a situation where someone may be imposed on Gambians who they cannot hold accountable.
If he vacates office 3 years from now, a year from now, or whatever that's left of the 3 years, the first fundamental problem you have, there is no voter registration. Gambia will not have a snap presidential election, meaning we cannot have an emergency election or an instant election to elect another president because there is no registration drive. We don't have a good constitution, and Gambians are not registered. You know what that means? We are left with someone that is not elected to manage our executive decisions for another 24 months by way of a vice president. Is that what the citizenry of this country want? I think the answer is no.
But Madi Jobate disagrees.
The logical argument he's bringing, let him bring it behind the background or on the background of a political history and experience. Not just the Gambia, but you can consider the whole of the world. That we don't second guess politicians. You know, this idea that politicians or politics about interests and all of those things, it's because we allowed it. We allowed it, that it became a culture, and those who get in there became so. And we cannot allow that to define our lives, because what it will do, especially in our part of the world, is just to continue to perpetuate oppression and exploitation and inequality and deprivation. And it has to stop. And if you are citizens, what is the value of our citizenship? What is the role of a citizen? So this is what we got to address.
However, Nyanjai is of the conviction that the only way to show President Adama Barrow that he had reneged on his campaign promise is through the ballot box.
Promise is a comfort to a fool. A promise is a comfort to a fool. What I can tell Gambians is there is no legal instrument that we can rely on to get him out, number one, for these 3 years. But morally and ethically, yes, we have his utterances on tape, and we can measure his credibility based on that. But citizens, once again, are empowered by law because of the ballot that they have, their vote, their suffrage. And as and when we go to the polls next time, that's the time we can show him a red card if we so choose to. And that's the beauty of elections. Wiri wiri jarindal, we have a day, and the day is called Election Day, and that's when people power is manifested.
But Madi Jobate is not convinced, and Nyanjai concurs, but was quick to add that the coalition was an alliance of strange bedfellows, with every coalition member having vested interests.
I'm with you on exactly what you said, and I think overwhelming, if not all of us here, agree with the statements you said, from EF Small to what's happening today, and the lack of progress being delivered by the very people we have entrusted power with. But notwithstanding, I think we need to bring back the debate to where it ought to be, and it's about what they said, what they didn't do, and the remedies that we as citizens have, remedial actions. The number one or the most effective and efficient remedial action citizens have is called legal recourse. It's the most effective remedial action we have. Then the next one, guarantees in our constitution. We don't have a guarantee that says that if a politician promised X and didn't do it, kick them out. But what we have as a guarantee is a vote. And that vote states that you have the right to vote for the person you believe will do what you think you want and what you believe is the greater good's interest. Therefore, as it is right now, me, Nyang Jai, I always speak for Nyang Jai. I don't speak on behalf of anybody. What I have at my disposal is my voter's card. Even though I don't have a new one yet, I know I will have one. And I damn sure know, sorry for my language, where my vote is going to be. I don't know for who, but it's for who's going to propagate the interest of the greater good based on how I see it. But for now, based on the 3-year thing, me personally, I am not enjoined with what he said. But as a leader, he has failed on his promise. And we should hold him accountable. And we can register our dissatisfaction that you told us you were going to do this and you didn't. So what does that mean? Can I rely on him going forward? The answer is no. What are my remedial course of actions for people that I cannot rely on? My red card.
Despite this, according to Madi Jobate, President Adama Barrow has more to gain by stepping down than further entrenching himself in power.
All right. Yeah, because you recall, Yahya Jammeh 1994 said no one will serve for more than 10 years in this country. Then they will serve 2 years and go back to the barracks. But he reneged. So for me, an individual who can do that, you lack morals. You know, you disregard your conscience and you disregard national interests. Imagine if Jammeh really did not do all the things they did in between 1994 and 1996, but submitted himself to that NCCE report, do the necessary legal, constitutional, and institutional reforms, as we are supposed to do under Barrow as well, submit to that within 2 years and leave. Probably today, Yahya Jammeh could have been elected president of the Gambia, because we see an example of that in Sierra Leone. Marabio, at the same time, Jammeh, the same time, Jammeh was Marabio was as young as him, but he submitted to a civilian control, and today he is President Marabio. So, Barrow, I wrote a piece early. You see, when you look at the ex-president's Benefits Act, it's lucrative. For me, if I'm president, that act alone is enough for me to serve one time and go. No, it's good. And so I reminded Barrow, that act is there. Enjoy it. All right? Mo Ibrahim Prize, he could have won it. Above all, he would have got such prestige and honor in the world, probably next to Mandela. AU, UN, EU, University of the Gambia would have put more degrees on his head. Honestly. So Barrow severely ill-advised himself, and all the folks around him severely ill-advised him to his own detriment and to the detriment of the Gambia.
Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, this is Momodu Justice Dabo.
South Africa Global is pleased to launch Dalaba Housing Estate. Dalaba Housing Estate is our newest estate located on the Sukuta Jabang Road. You can buy a finished 2 or 3 bedroom house or service plots accompanied with a free fence and gate.
The threat by the pressure group to descend onto the streets in December to force President Barrow to honor his campaign promises has apparently raised some security concerns in the country. The latest security fears has been voiced by the Beach Horse Riders Association.
So c'est Gambia fi suñu force développement moy tourism after agriculture. Muna wax né tourism mo nek force right now. so December mooy daanaka beginning of tourism so da nga gis ne suñu bëggee def problème that time boobu dina affect lu bari probably people ñoo xam ne ñu ngay liggéey ci area industry area bi waaw boobu moom dégg si suma sago suñu lifini dañoo mën a muñ lu ñu muñ 3 years 2 years du dara because nekk nañu fi 22 years lu bari passé na ci loolu so mënoon nañu muñ 2 years du dara fu mu nekk nii.
Wow, it will affect my business, a lot, because of when you work through tourism sector. Especially last time when we were in state of emergency, you have to feel fini. So when you see people dara, you don't work nothing, you just sit around, and listen to what's happening. So December, you want to repeat the same thing. Even though in state of emergency, you are getting what happens in the kabisa. Mburu do chop dara amut. Nyadi ñoo migrate daw fini. Nyadi ñoo xam ne after ñu dañ lose seen alal yi, ñe seen properties dañ leen sacca. So we don't want something like that to repeat again, because of ku toog 2 years, 3 years, 2 years kay moom foog naa ne moom kay loolu moom yàggatut balaa nga xam ne 2 years jot na so nañu mu ñu Adama Barrow rek mu toog ba 2 years am bi jee 5 years bi ñu def election ñu xool kam moo nekk président because as far dem nañ la ba ñu ne 5 years léegi la it's very simple dara yàggatut fii nañ ko muñal rek loolu noonu def election bi this time ñu am kam mooy win mu toog
aba affect la bakelen nat niya jibe because ndol fana ndol ko du ko ka kar woro la kono so kar woro kon dol fana ka dama nu soto wol don kam fam sutura wol to kan mul ma ko so ka kuja ma ke je ala la demaro to so nim fitino ka bita dunno kono abe kolbe si ala le anu kairo mobe ko wala dua because niya jibe outside Gambia kono fitino be siar ndula jamal leto so ndefe ni nga kairo dua wala betiata because sanji flo ani sanji lulo aman jam fanyola so nga try re nga maintain nga sanji lulo timandi after nga carte fay ni me winter ngalom wala harje bije so kairo ngamera wala important fitinoti
waaw lolu dina affect suma business because da nga gis ne tourist yi dika bo amul jama ñom ñeme ñu ñoo dem fofu nonu so gisee gaay di fay di ñew naan ñi ngay dem Gambia jama mo fi nekka te jama bobu nonu lañu yaga xamé suñu maam yi mom lañ fi bayon waaw so suñu waré ekati fi ni problème bobu dafa nekk lo xamantene ni dinañu affect bu baaxa baaxa te ñoo xamantene tamit ñi ngi bëgg kuru problème man dama leena ñaan pour ñu jappalé ñu ngir Yalla ak yonenté bi ñu maintain peace bi rek because soko sété ku warona tok 3 years 5 years 3 years yi ñëw na ba jot Yalla may féké 2 years yi légui tay mu ñëwaat ñu dugga ci ak jaama ñu gëna ci keneen waaca keneen tok.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my AfriCell 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real AfriCell 4G SIM and receive 1 GB of internet data for free.
Really?
Yes, get 1 GB for free just by replacing your SIM card at any AfriCell outlet with no loss of contact. The cost of bundle from the 3G SIM card is the same for the 4G SIM. And guess what? With the 4G SIM card, you can also connect to the 3G network as well.
This is so cool.
Well, Omar Amadou Jallo was a key coalition partner. When the Fatu network caught up with him recently, this was what he had to say.
The question of this Operation 3S Jotna, we have seen that people are rallying in support. According to sources, that in December there also may be mass protests to force the president out of office. So, what's your position, vis-a-vis this Operation 3S Jotna planned protests?
Who are going to force the president out of office?
That is, the Operation 3S Jotna, agitators.
3S, what is the relation between the Operation 3S and the coalition executive who put Adama Barrow there, who negotiated and had an agreement for the 3 years? And some of us, particularly the UDP leadership, told us that if anybody talks about the 3 years, you are going to court because it is illegal and it is against the constitution. The programs that have been started by Adama Barrow, I will hate to see any election to be held in this country with the present constitution. We have to wait for the new constitution whereby nobody will be president ever in this country without having 51% of the votes. When we went for the donors conference, they gave a 1.7 billion from 2018 to 2021. When they see us fighting now, That will stop. Now, most of the tourism agents, there are some tourists that are cancelling, they are coming to Gambia because what they had will happen in December. How many young people, how many youths, how many people are going to lose from that? How many boys are going to lose from working in the hotels? The security reforms have not been completed. The civil service reform have not been completed. Can we not sit and seek what is best for Gambia and not what is good for who will be president? I'm just asking a question. Now, if Adam Barrow steps out, who's going to take over from the coalition?
Vice President.
Because then, is the 5 going to have a different program than Adam Barrow if they are all part of the coalition? Are we talking about Gambia or are we talking about individuals?
So then are you calling for dialogue to actually thrash this issue out?
I'm calling for dialogue. Let people stop people who are not part of the dialogue that we had until we get Yahya Jammeh out. We couldn't get Yahya Jammeh out for 22 years because there was no unity among the political leadership. When we had unity, we got Yahya Jammeh out. If we want to continue the division, we are going to create a worse situation in Gambia than when Yahya Jammeh was here. Is it worth it? For who will replace Adama Barrow? If anybody in the coalition, I think it is the coalition that they should consult, that they should engage. These people that are talking about 3 years, let them consult and engage. The coalition will discuss and arrive at the conclusion. Let them know what is on the ground, what is the situation. Is it different from when we are having the 3 years? So that we can have a peaceful Gambia, so that every activity, every political activity will be done within a peaceful coexistence where each and every one of us will be happy.
Dominique America wala Europe wala yónnee mobile muy jël ay weer Smartphone House ñëw pour rek noppal leen looy def rek mooy nga def payment ñu deliver phone bi tey.
Salaamaaleykum.
Maaleykum asalaam.
Man de sama jëkkër moo ma boole ak yéen. Mohamed Ndiaye.
Mohamed Ndiaye.
waaw Sweden.
maa ma waxamoon tey si suba.
waaw daf ma call suma téléphone bi yaaxu mu ne ma demal Smartphone House ma ne ko waaye loolu gaaw na ni mu ne ma demal rek.
moom utal na la fi benn. mooy iPhone 8 Plus.
Masha Allah.
ak Smartphone House emuñ ci jaay mobile rek waaye dañuy jaay computer ay yére ak daala yi nga xam ne rek original lañ ba tax nag ku bugg a xam fi nga xam ne mooy Smartphone House da nga dem Kairaba Avenue opposite fi nga xam ne mooy Barcelona shop.
Car Power Ship on Thursday handed over $2,000 to the National Environment Agency, the country's apex environmental protection body, as the country's apex environmental protection body gears up for the International Coastal Cleanup Day later this year. International Beach Cleanup Day is observed annually on 21st September, and this year the NEA intends to observe it by, among others, engaging coastal communities through beach cleaning and sensitization activities. Mamadou Justice Dabo was at the presentation and he prepared this report. Car Power Ship on Thursday handed over $2,000 to the National Environment Agency as the country's apex environmental protection body gears up for the International Coastal Cleanup Day later this month. International Coastal Cleanup Day is observed annually on 21st September, and this year, the NEA intends to observe it by, among others, engaging coastal communities through beach cleaning and sensitization activities. Speaking at the handing over engagement of the money held at the Car Power Ship head office in Fajara, the country director of Car Power Ship, Mr. Yakuba Mambure, said considering the symbolic relationship between marine life and humans, the significance of maintaining clean beaches and oceans could not be overemphasized.
The marine life, the symbiotic relationship between us and them is very important. Our survival, both of the marine and also ourselves, is very connected. We are so interconnected. We live on things from the sea, and as a result, if the sea is polluted, there is a possibility that whatever disease come to marine life can be transferred to us, the humans, because we consume them. So it's important for everybody out there to make sure we all do our part to ensure that the environment is clean.
According to Mr. Mambure, sustainable environment protection is there to Car Power Ship because
Car Power Ship, due to the nature of our operation, we operate from inside the sea. We are very concerned about this, and as a result, we are proactive when it comes to environmental issues, not only in Gambia, but wherever we operate. As some people already know, we are in different parts of the world. We are in Iraq, we are in Lebanon, we are in Indonesia. We just started Cuba not too long ago in South America. And we are in Gambia, we are in Ghana, we are in Sierra Leone, we are in Mozambique. And Senegal is our newest intervention. Hopefully by the end of this month, we will start providing up to 15% of the energy need of Senegal across the border here with 235 megawatts.
He enthused that since it started its operations in the Gambia, Car Powership is going at full stretch to bring constant electricity supply to customers.
I want to definitely recognize the efforts of NAWEC, our partner, and also the effort of the government of the Gambia in our relationship to ensure that we have uninterrupted power supply in this country. I think anybody who lives in the country, or at least visits the country, will realize that our intervention has really given some fruition, and I think we have seen a very positive, improvement when it comes to energy supply in this country.
Also speaking on the donation, Sheikh Alkinki Sanyang, Program Officer for NEA's Education and Communications Unit, said,
"Of course, indeed, it is a very, very important day for us today to come here once again to receive this huge amount of resources from Car Powership in an effort to implement a program dubbed International Coastal Cleanup Day 2019. It is well said, without clean waters, all the food we're going to consume will be questionable. And one of the greatest things behind the cleansing of our coastlines is out of sight is out of mind, but it is never out of the environment. This is why the National Environment Agency didn't carry the whole thing alone. A task force has been set up comprising of different institutions in the Gambia and stakeholders for us all to come together. Of course, the lead is done by the National Environment Agency, but in partnership with a lot of other stakeholders who all share the same notion that without a cleaner beach, where are we?
According to Mr. Sanyang, the NEA aims to make impact by inculcating sound environmental behaviors in people and therefore express the need for change of undesirable attitudes towards the environment. He called for fruitful partnerships between communities and the NEA in ensuring a clean and healthy environment. He also tasked national and international organizations to emulate Car Powership in its environmental interventions.
I want to thank Car Powership once again for their benevolent gesture, which is very unique among other organizations within the country. And I will enjoin you to continue supporting the aspirations in the management, sustainable management and protections of our environment.
Mariama Dumbia, Senior Program Officer, Environmental Quality, and Abubakar Kujabi all thanked Car Powership for responding to the NEA's request for support to observe International Coastal Cleanup Day. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, I am Jack CCJT. That's it for the news review. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.